Hi everybody, it's Steffi and welcome back to my channel. And I know what you're thinking. You're making another yogurt video? Didn't you already do that? Yeah, I did. And you know what? I actually went last week and rewatched the video because it had over 1,000 views. I was like, that's great. But when I watched the video, it was very cringy, and I realized there was some information that I actually left out of the video that I think you guys should know. So I am going to reshoot the video. I will leave the original video up there in case you guys want to see Carter's reaction to how he taste tested the yogurt and everything like that. So I'm going to leave that video up. But I'm going to repost this video because I feel like you guys need to see a better video than that. And my editing skills have gotten so much better. That was cringy for me to watch. So the first thing before I roll the clips of me actually making the yogurt is I'm going to show you what you need. This will all be in the description box. So if you want to fast forward, I'm going to put right here what time I actually start making the yogurt if you want to skip to that clip. Okay, so there's a few things that you're going to need. First thing you're going to need is a whisk. If you don't have a whisk, use a fork, but you need one of those too. Then you are going to need some cheesecloth. This is by Dritz, and I got this at Walmart. So in case you're not sure what cheesecloth is, I'll show you. My bag is running away. I have the fan on. So it's just this real thin material, and it's used to kind of strain the whey from the yogurt. You can find this at Walmart in the fabric aisle. So like where they have all of their fabrics for quilting and things like that, you can find that there. Otherwise, if you're not sure where to find any of this stuff and you are at Walmart picking it up, you can use the Walmart app, select your local store, type in what you need, and it should tell you exactly what aisle to find it on. That's a very helpful thing. Okay, so next, in your Ninja Foodi Deluxe, you're gonna find one of these little air fryer stands. It sits in your air fryer like this, and then you use it and you put the food on top, and the water goes in here in the little basin, and this is what you use to air fry. But what you're going to do is you're going to actually use this like this. So this is, somebody is calling me. I will have to call them back. Anyway, so you're going to need this, but we'll get to that. You're going to need a big bowl. This is my big bowl. In case you notice, it's like bigger than my head. I could wear it as a hat. You're going to need a real big bowl like this. And then you're going to put this thing inside of here. So it should look like this. You're also going to need a medium-sized strainer. This is how big mine is. And then that is going to sit in here like this. And the cheesecloth, you're going to drape one layer this way across and one layer this way across. So keep that in mind when you go ahead and make your yogurt. I also have a candy thermometer here. I also found this at Walmart in all their candy making section. So this is what it looks like. Ta-da! And you want to make sure when you cook your yogurt, it's between 130 and 140 degrees. So that would be right around here. But you'll see that in the video. I just wanted to show that to you guys just so you kind of know what I'm looking at. Because when you first when your yogurt first gets done boiling, it's going to be too hot. So you're going to need one of these so you can gauge when to add your yogurt starter. But anyway, let's roll the clips of us making this yogurt, and I will come back to you once I'm done, and we will talk about it.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to take about a half cup of vinegar, so you can use 3/4, doesn't really matter, and then fill the rest up with water. This is what you're going to use to sterilize your Ninja Foodi. So you're going to open it up. Make sure you've already cleaned out the basin so it's nice and clean. And then you're going to just dump this in, and this is to sterilize the pot. So now we're going to put our lid on. Okay, now that our lid is on, what you want to do is make sure on the top it is set to seal. And then you're going to push the power button, do pressure cook, high, and then change this time to 30 minutes. So you're going to just let this cook for 30 minutes. In my previous video, I said you can use lemons if you want. That's really only if you've cooked like pasta or soup or anything like that that's really oily and fatty, to break those oils and fats down. Also, it does smell nice, but the lemons really are optional. But if you want to add the lemons, it's just 2 lemons quartered in half. And then you just use this basket right here. Mine's actually dirty, but you put this in here after you've put your water and vinegar in, and then the lemons will release something that cleans out this like little seal here and all the little nooks and crannies in the pot. So yeah, you're going to just let this sanitize itself, and then when it's done, you're going to do a manual pressure release on the top. Then after that, you can start adding your milk and other things. For the whole rest of this process, from the boiling to the adding the yogurt starter to the fermenting, the whole process, you're going to want this on vent. And the reason for that is you don't want to burn anything, you don't want it to get too hot, or you may get a burn warning. And if you do, you're going to have to start over. So make sure this is set to vent so that when the milk is boiling, it can release the steam and things like that. It also just helps regulate the temperature of what's going on in here. Pot is sterilized and it is very hot. We are going to be using our whole milk. You only need a half gallon. I usually just buy a gallon because my kids like to drink it. They like the taste of it. So I have to measure out how I'm going to do this because somebody already got into it. As you can see, the little sticky pasta hands on here. But I'm going to put half of this, because you only need a half gallon, into the pot, and then we're going to boil it. Alright, so now we have our cold milk in the pot. We're going to start to boil it. But I just want to mention, use whole milk. I haven't used any other milk, just whole milk, and this works out great every time. So make sure you pick up some whole milk. But we're going to put the lid on, and then I'll show you how to boil the milk. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is push the power button. And then you're going to push the slow cook yogurt button. Do not press start if it's like this, because it will set a timer for 4 hours, and that's not what you want. So push the slow cook yogurt button again, and it will say yogurt. That is what you want. Hit start, and then it's going to say boil. So this boils for about 45 minutes to an hour. I mean, if you really wanted to watch it better, you could just kind of hang out around your kitchen until it beeps. My house is very loud in here, so I just kind of come back to it later. But when your milk is done, it's going to be too hot to do anything with anyway. So you have a little bit of wiggle room there. So don't stress out if you don't catch it right after it's done boiling. When this is done, it's going to stay cool. But I will show you that later once that happens. So yeah, just let this boil and walk away and come back, and we'll move on to our next step. Here we go. It now says cool. It's been about a half hour, 45 minutes. So we're going to take the lid off. Remember, this is set to vent, so we can take the lid off safely without having to worry about any built up pressure. So right now our milk is going to look the same. It's just very hot. So what I do is I take my candy thermometer here, and I'm just going to leave this in here for a minute, and we're going to see how hot our milk is, because that will tell me how long I need to wait before I can add our yogurt starter. I know in my last video I added the yogurt starter right away. You can do it either way. If you want your milk to cool down faster, you can add the yogurt starter right away. But I find it more effective to just wait until the yogurt has cooled. So let's see what we're at for a temperature. This is really hot. So right now we're at about 160 degrees. That's way too hot. We want this to be between, let me show you, like 130 to 140. So in between these two little ticks right here. So this one says 50 degrees Celsius. You want it after that first tick or the second tick, somewhere in between there. So I just check on this usually about every 10 to 15 minutes. And you can actually shut this off, because we have to change the settings on this when we go to ferment the yogurt anyway, so you don't need that on. But if you would prefer to do this with, like, let it cool with the lid closed, you can. I think it might take longer, because then the heat, I mean, it still has the vent right. Well, no, it doesn't have the vent because of this lid. Look at me making boo-boos. All right, so yeah, just wait 15-20 minutes. Come and check with your little candy thermometer again. If you don't have one of these, I would just wait until the lid, when you can touch it and it still feels warm, but it isn't hot to the touch. So that's what I did my first couple times when I made yogurt, and then I eventually got the candy thermometer just because I didn't want to wait too long and have my yogurt get too cold, because then it's hard for it to reach enough temperature when it ferments. So just keep that in mind. It's good to have the candy thermometer. I mentioned it in the beginning of the video, but it's something that I personally use. I feel like it really helps me get a precise measurement of the temperature. I don't think that a meat thermometer would work that well. You could try it, but the way that this is designed for like liquid chocolate and things like that. So any type of liquid like milk, this will work for. So anyway, I'll come back to you when it's time to add our yogurt starter. Okay, so I just want to talk about the yogurt starter for a minute. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need actual yogurt to add to the Foodi in order to make yogurt. So you need yogurt in order to make yogurt. This is the same yogurt I showed in my last video. This is from Aldi's, and if you look on the side here, it does say that it has active cultures in it, and that is what you want. And this is made with whole milk. So this is the only kind that I have actually used with my yogurt, and it turns out great every time. I actually don't have a lot in here. I only have about this much left in here, so hopefully I can scrape up enough for us to use today. But this is what I use, and I usually only have to buy it once a month. So I've just added the yogurt starter in here. Our milk is at about 135 degrees. So next you're gonna need a whisk, or like I said before, a fork. And you just wanna mix this up. This doesn't really take too long because the milk is still pretty warm. So you just mix it up until you don't feel any lumps. You are going to get sometimes a little film on your whisk. Make sure you clean that off right away, because if it dries, it's really hard to get off. So next we need to put on our lid and go to our next step, which will be fermenting. And before you start, make sure this is on vent. Sometimes when you put the lid on, it kind of like flips itself around. So just make sure this is on vent. So you're going to turn the Foodi on. Then you're going to push slow cook yogurt. Push the button again. And then you're going to use the temperature button. And if you push that down, it goes to ferment. And then just push start. And that'll count down 8 hours. So you have 8 hours until your yogurt is done. If you don't catch this in time and it does start to count upwards and it ends up with this keep warm sensor on, that's okay, as long as you don't let it go for too long. So like 10-15 minutes, it should be okay, but a couple of hours, you really don't want to do that. So just make sure you come back within 8 hours for our next step. So our yogurt is done now, and we can take the lid off. So I always just shut it off, and then I make sure that I unplug it. So now we can take our lid off, and I will show you what our yogurt looks like. So it's going to be a little bit thick, but a little bit kind of like slimy right now. And that will thicken up with time as we do our next process for this. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put this in either a glass or ceramic container and put some type of plastic wrap over that, and then you leave it sit for 8 hours. So let's go do that. Alright, so here's my yogurt in my ceramic container, and I just have it wrapped up loosely with some saran wrap. It doesn't have to be really tight. You don't have to go completely around the container or anything like that. 8 hours for this, chilled in the fridge. I usually let it sit overnight. It's about 7 o'clock right now, and I wake up usually around 7. So I'm going to let this sit for a good probably 12 hours in the fridge. And as long as you give it that 8 hours, it should be good. But you can go a little bit longer if it's more convenient for you. So when we come back, we'll do our next and final step. Morning. So it is the next day, and it is time to strain our yogurt now. So what you need, and I've already talked about this in the beginning of the video, but just in case you fast forwarded, you're going to need a really big bowl, and then you're going to need your air fryer thing. This just sits in the Foodi like this. I know mine is dirty. And you're going to put it in upside down. Then you're going to put the strainer in, because these little things on the side are kind of built to fit the strainer. And then you're going to put cheesecloth on the inside. If you want to see where to get that or what cheesecloth is, that's also in the beginning of the video. So now I'm going to take our yogurt that's been sitting in the fridge overnight, and we're going to pour it in here. Okay, so our yogurt is in here. It looks a little bit like cottage cheese right now. As you can see, it's kind of thickened up and it's not as slimy. But in the bottom, it's going to start draining out all the way. So what you want to do is you want to leave this sit for either 8 hours, or you can let it sit while you're at work. And then you just come back and put it in a container and add some honey to it. But I'll show you the finished product once it's done. Okay, so I have let the yogurt sit all day, and this is what it looks like. I didn't really use enough cheesecloth. I usually leave these pretty long, but I've been trying to save it because I'm running out. But this is what it looks like right now. So now I'm going to put it in a Tupperware container, and I'm going to show you guys the end result. So this is the finished result of our yogurt. As you can see, it is very thick. It is very creamy. I do enjoy this yogurt just like this as I make it into smoothies, but I will show you guys that. And this is the step where if you want to add your fruit compote or if you want to add your honey to your yogurt, you would do it now and then just store it in our Tupperware container like normal, as you would with anything else. And that's going to be it. So enjoy this short little clip next of me making a smoothie if you would like. Otherwise, you can fast forward right to the end of the video. I'll show you how to make a simple smoothie using the yogurt that we have created. So first, you're just going to need a regular spoon. Not a big spoon, but a tablespoon. And then you're going to just take some yogurt. I like to do usually 2 full scoops. So that would be like 1 scoop. And then another one. That was about a half one, so we'll do a little bit extra. And as you can see, the yogurt is pretty thick. That's what you want because you want, a real creamy smoothie. And then next, I have the Dole Fruit and Veggie Berries and Kale. You can get this at Walmart for like $5 or $6. And I like to dump in a little bit of this. So about that much. It's about half a cup. And then I have Vital Proteins I also put in mine. This is tropical hibiscus. I feel that it just gives your smoothies a little bit more flavor. So you want 2 scoops of that in there.
What you making?
A smoothie.
I want to help you.
So now we're going to blend this up. To mention is you're going to need some water. So I have about a cup of water in here, because everything isn't going to blend nicely if you don't have that. So then you can go ahead and just mix this. This is a very old austerizer, but I just put it on blend, and then I just turn it on, and that does the trick. A smoothie with some hibiscus flavor from the organic proteins. And as you can see, it's not too thick, but it's thick enough that it makes a nice smoothie.
Okay, and that's the yogurt all done. In this one, I didn't put the fruit compote in it because I've been using it in smoothies. But as you guys saw in that last clip, me making the smoothie, so I don't really need the yogurt compote for that because I've just been on the go in the mornings lately. So it's just easier for me to make a smoothie, pop it in my car with me, and drink it on my way to work. But if you do like the yogurt compote, the original recipe is going to be linked down below. Again, I do not take credit for that recipe, and I did mention that in my blog post where it is posted. This is not my recipe. It's a recipe I've gotten from somebody else. So just keep that in mind. But it's very simple and easy to do. So I have been making yogurt now for 6 months. And I will tell you, it comes out perfect every single time if you make it the way that I made it here. Again, if you don't have a Ninja Foodi Deluxe, I'm not really sure if you can make one in a regular Ninja Foodi, but I know this one has the yogurt option, so that's why I decided to try it in the first place. And I found this actually does save me a lot of money because I'm only buying milk and I'm buying yogurt about once a month, so I'm saving a lot of money because my kids like yogurt too, and you can use it for lots of other things. I mean, you can use it to make like yogurt popsicles or whatever. There's plenty of other stuff you can do, but I'm just curious, what else do you guys want to see me make in the foodie? So leave a comment down below and let me know. I'm thinking about maybe doing cottage cheese, but I'm not really sure, like, because that's a whole new process for me. So if I do that video, I might have to try it a couple times before I actually post something, because I don't want the video to be as cringy as the last one was. So I do apologize for that. But again, that's going to be the end of the video. If you liked it, leave it a like. If you didn't, leave it a dislike. It's all engagement to me, honey, so I really don't care. Anyway, if you're new, please subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!